Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is for the woman who's done everything right. She eats clean, works out religiously, eliminates all the bad foods, and still feels stuck, inflamed, and completely disconnected from her body. I'm joined by Traci. She's a 47-year-old mom of three, a wife of a farmer, and a full-time life juggler who came to Mindfully Well exhausted by food sensitivities, daily bloating, and a body that felt like it was always working against her. In this conversation, Traci shares what shifted when she stopped guessing, started supporting her gut, and finally learned to ask, how do I want to feel? You'll hear about the surprising mindset changes, the healing that happened without obsession, and what it's like to move through midlife without food rules and without fear. Let's dive in. All right, Traci, thank you so much for being on today's podcast episode. I'm so excited to have you here. And I know that hearing your journey in Mindfully Well and where you started and where you're going and all of that is going to be really helpful for other people to kind of hear about just your experience. So thank you so much for being here today. Tell us just a little bit about yourself so people can kind of know who Traci is.
Hey, Melissa, thanks for having me. My name is Traci and I'm from Minnesota. I'm 47 years old. I have three kids. One's an adult child and one just graduated, and then I have a sophomore. So we're still in the thick of the sports and trying to navigate real life with pleasure and with the student activities. Pretty busy person. My husband's a farmer, so those seasons make things even more busy. And I am really happy to be here with you.
Good. So you joined Mindfully Well, I think it was February of this year. And what made you at that time reach out or contact me, decide to join Mindfully Well, or that it was possibly a program that would be one that might benefit you?
I have to really think back because I feel so good right now. It's hard to exactly remember what was going on when I reached out to you. But I guess in a nutshell, I thought I had food sensitivities. I hadn't eaten eggs in over a year and I had just cut dairy and gluten out of my diet. I felt completely paralyzed by being gluten free because I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know how to even go to a grocery store and pick out what I could have. So I pretty much just stopped eating really anything worth value. I just really cut back because I didn't know what to do. I initially reached out to a friend who does nutrition and gave her a little synopsis of what I was going through. And she kindly told me she didn't want to touch me with a 10-foot pole. So I I had been put into contact with you, and then after our conversations, I realized this was something I wanted to pursue because I through talking with you, we had just discussed that my constant bloating, my headaches, my low energy levels, I didn't have to live like that. And I could find a way through it without being dairy and gluten free my whole life.
Mhm. Yeah. So were you doing anything before we started, besides like trying to eliminate all the foods? Did you try any programs or did you do any food sensitivity testing, or at that point, I can't recall.
Yeah, so it was a year ago that December that I had done the initial gluten sensitivity test, and it said that I had high reactivity to eggs. That was
Yeah.
one of the things I remembered. So I cut eggs right away because I was getting such bad headaches at that time. And then I worked out religiously. I didn't always eat the healthiest, but when I tried, I always had such bad reactions to anything that was healthy. So I always said if I stuck with chicken strips and French fries, I would be fine. But I had some broccoli or watermelon, and I'd be in the fetal position. So nothing really nutrition wise. I avoided the foods I knew didn't make me feel well, and I kept up with my working out.
Yeah. Okay. And then when did you start to realize that something had to change? Like when did you get to that point, and what was that thought or that feeling that you had that you were like, this enough is enough?
Enough is enough when I would drink water and I would have the worst bloating. It was
Hmm.
constant bloating and uncomfortableness, and I knew that I couldn't sustain my lifestyle the way it was. I wasn't eating very much. I just felt rotten. I knew something
Yeah.
had to change. There was just too much time left. I was, God willing to live like
Yeah.
that for that much longer. It had to stop.
Yeah, for sure. When you joined Mindfully Well, we did GI map testing because you had a lot of gut issues. So we kind of knew like we should go there first because your body's screaming at us that your gut is unhappy with all these food sensitivities, the bloating, all of that. What were some of the first changes that you noticed after we got those results back and the things that we started to implement based on your lab tests? But what were the things that you started to notice in your body? What were those first things?
The very first thing, not everything was physical that I noticed, but the very first physical trait that I noticed was my inflammation had gone down significantly. I
Mhm.
just felt so puffy, my face, my arms, my stomach, everything was just so puffy all the time. And I did notice that that changed. And non-physical traits, my mindset started to shift. It wasn't about calories, but about fuel, and that was a complete change for me. And also the effects of stress. I didn't realize that stress could do the things it can do, so I really zeroed in on my stress.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are some of the things that you did when you realized that your stress was high? What did you do for yourself there?
I think the first thing was just being aware of it. There's
Hmm.
so many stressful situations that you're in all the time that unless you acknowledge that they're stressful situations, it's hard to pull yourself out of them. But as far as what did I do for the stress, deep breathing, and I can't remember doing anything specific, just acknowledging it and then trying to make better decisions to either not get in that stressful situation again or
Hmm.
um, just avoid the thing altogether.
Yeah, because awareness is really where it starts. Because many times we're just so unaware of how stressed out our body actually feels in our day to day. And then once we become aware, we're like, oh, I can actually choose something different. I
Yeah.
can say no to things or just
Yes.
like separate yourself sometimes too from the things that would normally keep you in overdrive or keep you really tired. You're just able to kind of create some space between you and that thing. And then you just notice that you feel so much better.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Has anything surprised you so far about the progress?
I think I'm most surprised by how effective the question, "How do you want to feel?" is.
Mm,
I had never thought about eating that way. And to be
yeah.
honest, I wish I had journaled during this process. I didn't. I wish I would have. I had many moments when the light bulb would be like, "Oh my gosh, that makes total sense."
Hmm.
But I can't recall any of those moments to you right now.
Yeah, that's
Then
okay.
a surprising side effect, I guess you could say, is I've lost 15 pounds and I didn't
Yeah.
even mean to try. I didn't even try.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I
I-
remember talking to you. I'm like, so do you, because I feel like on our consult, it was kind of like a question that usually people when they come to their consult they're like I want to lose weight, I want like just help me lose weight and then I'll feel better. And I remember you didn't bring that up at all and I was like, so do you want to lose weight? And you're like, if it happens that's fine, but I just want to feel better.
Yeah,
And I was like,
exactly.
okay. And we've never gone after weight loss with you. I've never put you into like being like, okay, now we're going all in on your fat loss phase. It just kind of naturally happened and that's always the best case scenario anyway, is when it
Yeah.
just happens.
I
So,
didn't even know it was an option when you and I were talking. I'm like, how can we even think about weight loss when I feel so terrible and I just need my stomach to feel better and my brain
yeah.
is less foggy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what happens when you start, when you take away that internal stress of what your gut was going through at that time and you heal that, and then your body can actually absorb the foods that you're eating. So it just becomes now your body feels safer because it has that consistent nutrition. And then it's like, oh, okay, we can burn body fat as fuel now. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
So it's such a good, beautiful side effect when that happens. Um, how about, and I know that I've heard you talk about this before too, but how about the shift in your energy and your mood throughout the day?
Well, that was the one thing that I was thinking about when I was looking or thinking about the podcast. I'd asked you about my ADD medication in the beginning. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
I was like, can I take that or should I be taking that? And because I do have adult ADD and I do take a prescription for that in the morning, and I feel that that somewhat provides an energy source through the day.
Oh, yeah,
And
sure.
you're like, and I remember I'll never forget you saying this, and I didn't really understand what you meant at first, but it was something like you said that my body would catch up with my brain, or my brain would catch up with my body. Do you remember talking to me about that?
Barely, but that's okay.
Okay, because it makes sense. Like I was always in fast forward. Like,
Oh, yes.
yes.
Your brain was that. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Your brain is
Yeah.
was ahead of your body. Yeah.
Yeah, my body was just along for the ride, and I mean, I was more organized when I am more organized when I take my ADD medicine, but I feel like sometimes that's an energy source. But I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean now, because
Yeah.
everything is function. It doesn't feel like my brain is fast forward and my body is just trying to catch up. Everything feels like it's in sync.
Yes. Yeah, that's so great. And so have you noticed that you are actually more focused even with your medication now and they're able to like be present and
Yes.
with all of
Yes.
that?
And it's not such a struggle to get there. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
always make myself be present, but to actually just sit in it and to feel it and to experience it is
Mhm.
it's all working together now.
Oh, good. That's so good to hear. One thing I remember I was going to ask or clarify on is when you said earlier on, not expecting or really to understand how do you want to feel, like that
Yeah.
you actually ever had that choice. And just so listeners understand what you mean by that and what I mean by that when I say that is that when we are making our food decisions, we often just make our food decisions out of reaction. I'm hungry. I'm in a hurry. I have to get to this next meeting, or we got to get to baseball. So just choose something, right? But the truth is, like, you always want to make your food decisions based on how you want to feel. And when you just stop and ask yourself and give yourself that choice, now you're going to choose something probably that's going to help fuel your body better for the upcoming thing that you have. And it's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's like, how do you get from point A where you are right now to ultimately the goal of like how do you want to feel in your body every single day? And you get to choose that consciously every time you eat.
Yes. It's monumental. I still can't think of, yeah, there's no way I would have ever come up with that on my own.
Yeah.
And
And
it's how I lead my life right now.
yeah, and it's one of those things too that we always lean on when we're traveling too.
Yep.
So like when you travel, obviously like not everything is in your control anymore, especially like the quality of foods and stuff like that. So if you just ask yourself, how do I want to feel? You're naturally going to turn towards foods that help you feel good. And also you're going to eat until you're satisfied and you're not going to overeat or be afraid to eat either. You're going to just land right in the middle where you want to be with your food choices. How about your perspective on movement? Has that changed at all during this journey? Because before you said you were very religious, you were always got your workouts in. That was something that you always checked off on your box. Has that shifted at all for you?
Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I'm kind of disappointed in myself, but I am not as strict with myself in the movement. I did
Hmm.
sustain something on my left shoulder or
Hmm.
arm that I'm still battling that right now. I
Yeah.
go to a physical therapist for that, but um, I think I told Chrissy on this. I said I think that since the scale did go down, I
Hmm.
don't feel like I have to be so religious with my working out.
Hmm.
And she helped me understand that that's not the only reason that we work out. And I
Hmm.
found that probably, I guess that was the reason that I was working out before.
Yeah.
But she's like, we want to maintain bone density and we also want to be the strong grandma at 65 that's
Mhm.
hauling grandkids around and not having to rely on somebody else to do the things. So I'm still working on getting my self where I want to be with movement,
Yeah.
but that is a work in progress right now.
Yeah. And also to recognize why you were working out before was probably out of a fear of weight gain or thinking that your body should be smaller based on where it was. And sometimes we think we can outwork whatever our body is doing, right? And
100%.
so then when we realize that we don't have to, now our purpose of exercise has to shift,
Yeah,
right? But then we can also become more aligned with it. So maybe it isn't that, because how many days a week were you working out before?
5 or 6.
Yeah. And really, like you've learned at this point that you don't have to work out 5 or 6 days a
No,
week, not a hard workout, right? It's the working out to keep your muscle, have the bone density so that
yeah,
you're a healthy person and you can move well. But you don't have to work out 5 or 6 days a week to have that. So
exactly.
yeah, and you can also move your body in other ways. That's not necessarily like a go hard workout where you're lifting all the weights and pushing your body. Sometimes it's a yoga flow, sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's maybe a light jog, like things that actually feel good and are fun for you too, if that's outside of what your normal workout is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to maintain the weightlifting. I just have
Mhm.
to figure out where that's at. And
Yeah.
that's all part of the journey.
Yeah. And we have to obviously allow your shoulder arm to heal too, because if you keep putting that under tension and it's not healing, it's obviously not going to get better.
No, and yeah, that was a very, very humbling moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll get there though. And then how about your perspective on food throughout this journey?
So, when I think back, I'm from the generation who embraced the low fat, high carb. I remember
Hmm.
all the doing all the carbs. And then I feel like that kind of transed into move more and eat less. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of where I was. I mean, if you want to lose a little bit or you want to maintain, you just don't intake as much. And it was almost like there was good food and bad food.
Yeah.
And where I'm at now is there are no good and bad foods. I've
Yeah.
learned that, and food is safety, and what I choose depends on how I want to feel.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that. So how do you now navigate those days that just feel harder? Or maybe now at the time of recording, we're at the height of summer. We're just after the 4th of July, the Monday after the 4th of July, which is, I think, probably one of the hardest days
Yeah.
to feel like a human. How, like, if you think back to like summertime and having more off days, or maybe we're not tracking as much. How do you actually approach those days now?
I would love to say that I've mastered this, but this also is a work in progress for me.
Hmm.
Um, I I have the staples that I always do every day. And I
Hmm.
just make sure that those are front and center in my mind when I'm not at home, when I'm at the lake. I just make sure that
Yeah.
those things always happen.
Yeah.
And as far as the food prepping and stuff, that's gotten better for me. I'm still not 100% on that and like the meal planning. But I know the meals that are easy for us that are within something that I would want to eat and feed my family. So those just might be on the table a little more often in the summer. So there's not as
Yeah.
much thought that goes into it.
Hmm.
And on the hard days, you just do what you do because you know what you're supposed to do and you know how you want to feel.
Yeah. What are some of the staples that you do every day?
I have a protein shake in the morning, and I don't do this as well on the weekends, but during the week, 100% of the time, I have a protein shake.
Hmm.
And then I also have protein with a collagen drink, usually
Sure.
around 10 in the morning. So those two things are specific. I really push my water. I'm very aware of my water. And then I always try to make sure there's a protein source in each one of the meals. And
Yeah.
that typically is how we were anyway. It was whatever we had set out of the
Hmm.
freezer for supper. So that isn't a lot different. But
Hmm.
when there's nothing planned, I still try to make sure that we have the protein. Working on the veggies still
Yeah.
trying to get that going. And then I
Yeah.
try to I've made myself I'm restarting my routines, but I've been walking in the mornings first thing when I wake up, and I just told myself don't think about it, and you just walk there and you do it. So
Yeah. Good. Good job. Um, and then well, let's talk about your gut now. Tell us how your gut is now. Because before couldn't eat a lot of different foods. There were a lot of foods you couldn't eat, a lot of bloating, a lot of gas, a lot of discomfort. How is your gut now?
my gut is good. So I was freaking out last week though. We didn't have a coaching call last week, right?
No, we were off for the 4th.
Yep, off for the fourth. And so that was the first time since I had finished my protocols that I
Mhm.
had such bloating. And I
Oh.
was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wrecked the whole thing. I just wrecked the whole thing. I spent 3 months of my life being as good as I could, and I'm sitting at work freaking out like I just wrecked this because I had bloating for like 3 days.
Uh-huh.
And I think looking back, my food choices, it's like I almost forgot that I want to maintain low sugar. Oh, that's one thing I do too. I
Yeah.
try to stay low
Yeah.
sugar. But we had gone to a restaurant here with some friends, and I had a Miami Vice,
Mhm.
the slushy drink or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why did I do that? I know that I don't want to consume that much sugar of one stupid drink. And so here I am thinking that I wrecked everything. Well,
Hmm.
then I got back from the lake, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I went straight back to no gluten. I
Hmm.
went to dairy. I got my water in. So aside from that one little scare, I didn't
Hmm.
ruin everything, I realized. And I'm like, what would Melissa say? This is so dumb. Don't freak out. But I feel so good. I don't have gas. I don't have bloating on a normal. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time, it was just that 1 week.
Outside of the Miami Vice.
Yeah, gosh. And I had a few carblesses too, and I think the carbonation that doesn't really work
Yeah.
as well with my system now. I'm still learning too, like
Yeah.
what is this new norm looking like? But I've never felt this good.
Good.
I honestly I can't even really. I mean, I explain to some people have noticed that I've lost weight, and they're
Yeah.
like, "What did you do?" And I said, to be honest, I fixed my gut. What's
Yeah.
on the inside? And I said that was just a side effect that happened, but I can eat, and I know what I can eat without having to feel uncomfortable. And I don't know, it's been life changing. There's no doubt
Good.
about it. Yeah.
Good. Do you, outside of like last week, were you bringing any gluten or anything in at that point?
Yeah, every once in a while yeah, I was. I
Yeah.
like chicken strips, so sometimes I would have just one of those. I really wasn't monitoring my dairy that much. I'm still using
Mhm.
silk milk in my smoothies and silk milk with my collagen shakes.
Mhm.
Not drinking a lot of milk, eating some ice cream, not a lot,
Mhm.
but just treats. And I still think too, if I go out and I want to have a hamburger with a good bun, I may do it, or a flour tortilla. I may do it. So I had been introducing little bits, but
Mhm.
I just decided to get the bloating to go away, that I would go gluten free. And I've
Yeah.
pretty much maintained that with the exception of a few bites of something, I'm pretty much gluten free.
Okay, good. How about eggs? Do you eat those?
I do.
Yeah. Do
And
you have
I
any
love
issues?
them. No. Oh,
Yay.
I remember the first time I'm like, I'm gonna just start with one and see how it goes. No, but I have been eating eggs, and
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's so good because of, I mean, it's not that your body's just like all of a sudden it's like, nope, we're not eating eggs anymore, right? It's just like that's
Yeah.
a symptom that your body's like, hey, like we're trying to get your attention. And if we can do it with when
Yes.
you eat eggs and we can get some of you to pay attention, maybe we'll get what we need in here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and when you're not eating gluten, not eating dairy, and not eating eggs, it's like, what do you even eat for breakfast? So now I at least have the eggs, and I can have a gluten-free piece of toast once in a while, and
Mhm. Yeah.
living large.
Yes. Yeah. If you're listening to Tracy's story and thinking, that sounds like me, whether it's the food confusion, the bloating, the exhaustion, or the endless guessing, here's what I want you to know. You don't have to keep living like this. You don't need more willpower. You don't need an elimination diet, and you don't need to work out harder to earn your health. What you do need is a clear, supportive path to help your body feel safe again, to heal your gut, regulate your stress, and take the fear out of food so you can finally feel steady, nourished, and at home in your skin. And that's what we do inside Mindfully Well. It's not about rules, restriction, or chasing a number. It's about creating a relationship with your body that's rooted in safety, trust, and real life sustainability. We have the option for personalized lab testing. We have healing protocols. We have strategic nutrition without tracking forever, nervous system tools, and mindset coaching that helps you unlearn the diet rules that have been keeping you stuck. If you're tired of doing it all and still not feeling well, if you're ready to understand that what your body needs is to finally feel calm, clear, confident, and how to care for yourself, Mindfully Well is for you. And enrollment is open. Head to mindfullywell.com and click on Mindfully Well Coaching to explore the program and schedule a clarity call with me, or go ahead and join today because we start next week. So you'll want to secure your spot as soon as you can. I hope to see you there. And then what are you most proud of in the way that you've shown up for yourself so far?
Well, I was so dang proud of myself when I completed the flush. And for those that would end up joining Mindfully, well, that could or could not be part of your protocol, but that 2 weeks was really hard and it was really worth
Mhm.
it. And when I think about really hard, it wasn't so much really hard. It was just something that required a higher degree of planning than what I was used
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
And in order for me to maintain the level of discipline that I wanted during that time, I just cut out all social activities. It
Mm.
worked good. It was in between basketball and track season. So I was able just to buckle down and I literally just planned the meals that you're told to do and had the supplements ready to go. And so I was really proud of that. And then just looking back on the other protocols that I did and the supplements that I was required to take to get rid of my stuff with eating on the empty stomach, that was a huge challenge and just took some
Yeah.
extra. You have to wake up a little earlier and I was doing that pre-workout meal, so then I wanted to get the pills in 30 minutes before that, and that's looking at 4:30 in the morning. So that was something I just am really proud of myself for. I wasn't perfect, but I
Mhm.
did dang good during it, and it feels so good to know that you can put your health first and do the dang thing and come out feeling so much better.
Yes. Yeah. And you really did do a good job during the flesh. I remember not everyone can like make their life fit for those 2 weeks. But you did a great job. And I know that, and I remember you telling me how much better you felt after, for one, being done, because then you're like, okay, now I can just move on with my life. But
Yes, just
also
holding
just
my breath.
yes. Also, just like how good you can actually, I mean, I like it because it can really transform how good you feel just being in your skin in such a short amount of time. And then it also prepares your body for what's coming up. And for in your case, it was a lot of healing your gut and getting rid of overgrowth of bacteria and yeast and all of that stuff. And so you have to have a body that's working really well to help get rid of that stuff. Otherwise, you just, keep making the storm brew all over again. So you did a really, really good job.
Thanks.
So for those people that are listening and wondering if Mindfully Well is a step for them, and um, and they're wondering if this is something that would work for them or they're contemplating it, what would you tell them from your point of view?
My gosh. Well, how much time do we have? We can tick, 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 tick. No, the first thing that I'll tell you, and I think that this was all part of my journey and getting me where I was, but just save your blood and don't do those food sensitivity tests.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That, yeah, I think you framed it up. You said you wouldn't go to a doctor with a runny nose for the doctor to tell you you have a runny nose.
Hmm.
And it just that makes so much sense to me. Long story short, there's things in your gut that are making you feel the way that you feel with certain foods, and it's about the state of your gut, not the food. And
Yeah.
so you know what's going on in your stomach, you can't begin to fix the foods that you're eating and not eating aren't going to help fix anything, I
Right.
would say. And then the other thing that I think I would definitely zero in on for the Mindfully Well program, um, the lifestyle coaching it's it sets this program apart from anything I've ever heard of. And there are real things that we have gone through as a group, and I have benefited so much. I can't always be on the coaching calls. They don't work well with my work schedule, but I listen to every single one of them. And the group that we have is they're all going through something similar, but you can kind of relate to it too. And I
Hmm.
just appreciate that. I appreciate the insight. You have us look at things in ways that I would never, my brain doesn't work like that. I don't go there on my own. So it's not just about whether you want weight loss or you have food sensitivities or you have hormones that you're looking to get in aligned with what you need. I think it is that, but it's the community that we have while we're doing it. And I think everyone is very respectful of each other. And I think that you've helped with, stress management. Hunger versus appetite was a big one for me in the beginning. I didn't realize that they were two separate things. I still want to embrace some of the nervous system tools. It's
Mhm.
a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I think there's a lot to
Mhm.
be learned there as far as like being able to calm yourself down when you need to. There's so much. If you think that something hasn't worked in the past, that you're giving up on everything, I mean, this is definitely some place where they could come and just see if you could help them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I loved watching your journey, but also everyone will benefit from hearing your point of view too, as well today. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.